What is one belief or philosophy that you used to have about business that you no longer hold, and why?
I think it's one of the most common ones that you and I both hear when we're talking business owners. It's you can't trust your team or you can't find good people, right? And that it's up to us. We're the one that started the business. We're the smartest, we're the sharpest tool in the shed, or whatever the case is. There's this, I suppose it's an egoic belief that if we let go, things are going to fall apart, that we need to protect ourselves, protect our business, not lose money by putting people in and they're not going to do the job. And that is completely the incorrect belief to have. And what I truly believe now is the philosophy of who, not how. Who can I put in that role? Who do I need to, hire the right person for a start, set them up for success and not failure by having this right system around them and the right, role description and interviewing process, and have that right person in there. Because if you hire someone smarter than you, better than you in that role, then you can actually step up and be that investor role in your own business and not be stuck, doing the $25, $50 an hour things. You can be focused on the $500 to $1,000 an hour value actions and outcomes. Get them to build the system. You can obviously tell them, hey, I need a system for this, this, and this. Let them build them. Let them own it, and then they're going to have more engagement and to be I suppose, connected to that system because they've built it. They're going to hold themselves to a higher level of account as well. And the focus seems to always go back to it's human nature. I don't know how, so I'm going to stay where I am. And the how's the easy bit. The how you talk to someone, you Google it, you join a community of business owners, you do whatever you need to do to find the how. But what you've got to understand is what is that constraint, that thing that's holding you back in the first place, and address that, or it's otherwise known as a bottleneck or a challenge or an opportunity. If you can knock that big domino over and it takes other dominoes with it, you need to find out what's that one first. And I think a lot of the time we focus, especially early on in our business careers, is we're focusing on the symptoms. It's like, that wheel's squeaky or that thing's a problem. Let's put some oil on it. But that's actually not causing the problem. That's actually just a symptom of the problem. And learning that skill set as a business owner to understand how to identify a problem or understand the constraint first and foremost before you start figuring out how. Because if it's a wrong problem that you're fixing, then you're wasting all of your time and energy.
So specifically to established business owners that are over the $1 million in revenue threshold, what is one thing that you just wish they would do differently or think differently about their business?
Get out of the way. That's simple.
Simple as that?
Get out of the way. That's it. Mic drop on that one. Don't need to say anything else. We'll actually do. It's again, it comes down to that philosophy of who, not how. Who do I need to give me my time back? What's the role I could invest in that's going to give me the most time back, so I can now lift my horizons and actually look at the business from above and not from inside. Like it's like the business is like a jungle. If you're in it hacking away with a machete, you can only see what's exactly in front of you. What you need to do is get in a helicopter, take off, and actually look at the entire business. And so by getting that space back, getting some time back to lift the value of that attention and the time that you're investing in the business is massive. And I'm going to say a second thing to that is making sure you've got the right support around you, community or people, to actually help you understand your blind spots, to help you see what you can't see that's holding you back from actually continuing to grow that business and create a business that you don't have to be in all the time. Normally people get into business because they want to create more time. And I say to people, how's that working for you? Because usually it's not. Usually they get in the business and it's harder and they're doing more hours and they're making less money and they're more stressed and they see their families and friends less and they do less of the hobbies and things they enjoy. It's because we don't know what we're doing when we start a business. I didn't know what I was doing either. I just went, okay, I'm going to give it a go because I'm smart. But there were all these blind spots. I did not know what they actually were. I didn't know I had those blind spots and I needed other people. And by getting mentors in my life, nearly 20 years ago now, actually over 20 years ago now, that helped me to actually really quickly see all those blind spots. And a lot of it was ego. It was my ego trying to protect me from failure, right? It wasn't necessarily bad ego. It was just holding me there because it didn't know another way. It didn't understand there was a different way of actually building a business. And in the end, it comes down to what do you value more? The control of you trying to juggle all of the balls, or the fact that you've actually built a circus that has 100 clowns juggling balls and you can sit there and watch. What do you really want? Right? And that's generally where people need to go is, what are you trying to create? Are you trying to create that business that doesn't require you to be there every single day?
So to establish business owners that are over the $1 million revenue threshold, who have fallen out of love with their business, what have you seen help get business owners through that period and out on the other side?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I've seen that happen a lot, and I don't think it's the people who've necessarily fallen out of love with the business. The business is so hard that it's just beaten them down and down and down, and they're like literally on their knees on the floor, just going, "This is too hard.
No more.
Right? Yeah, no more. I can't do any more. Like, I cannot carry any more weight." And the things that I've seen that have worked is either, for extreme situations, people need to get out. They literally need to get out. Some of them, they could sell a business. You could, hand it off to someone else. You could shut it down. That's in extreme cases, you see that. But for the people that actually turn it around, it's shifting where they focus their attention of, this is hard. This is what I'm doing. I'm stuck in this thing. And I don't want to do it anymore. I don't love it. It's kind of it's a cage or a prison that I've built myself, and I'm stuck in it. I can't get out. There's no key and there's no actual door. And so you're stuck in it. The other thing is, you got to look at it and go, well, shift where you're actually looking. Look further away and go, okay, what do I really want? If I knew how to take this business from $1 million and, say $100,000, $200,000 profit or whatever it's doing, and if I could turn this into a business that's now doing $400,000 profit, right, and may not know how yet, what's that going to give me? What's that going to create? And having a goal, like an actual mission of, this is where I want to do, and commit to that. This difficult bit is just what it is. It's difficult. But if you change nothing, nothing will change. And it's at those, it's the change threshold, I call it. I taught this in one of my inner circle events a couple of years ago, is the pain, when the pain of doing nothing is greater than the pain of doing something, right? Then you'll move. But it's, how do I bring that point of change closer to me? And that can be done through a deliberate decision of going, you know what, this is painful. I probably could handle some more, but you know what? Why should I? Why do I sit here and suffer? I make a conscious choice. I'm going to make this change now. And that change is often, I think the fastest ways, is getting people around you that can actually show you what you're doing wrong, show you where the gaps are, show you how to move forward. Because otherwise you're still sitting in your own skills and habits and things, and they've got you to where you are. If you think they're going to get you to 2 mil and more profit and half the time, well, you would be there because this is why you're there, is because you've hit your limit of capability. Doesn't mean you're not smart enough. Doesn't mean you're not ultimately have that potential, but your current skill set and capabilities are limited by your current knowledge and belief systems and identity. And it's like, we need to work on the identity, the belief systems, and then what you're actually actioning to shift that. And the people can move out of it very quickly within months, not years, months. Are your team actually efficient and effective? If they're not, could they be 10% more? So therefore 10%, they could take 4 hours off you. You got 4 hours a week back to just stop and not worry, not stress, and actually start to strategize and think of your business from the helicopter, looking over the whole forest or whole jungle that's your business, rather than being stuck in it, hacking through the jungle, sweating and getting blisters from using the bloody machete and all the rest of it. If you can actually get up there for longer, you'll start to see things you don't see from down in the jungle when you're hacking away. And that's one of the key things is to just create space. And we've found that in the first usually month to 3 months maximum. I think the clients, the members that we work with in our inner circle program is like they're getting back a day a week.
It's a whole different
or
world.
More. Some of that's 2 or 3 days a week, because it's just a different how, and it's a how they didn't see. It's a how they didn't understand. And it's a how that's backed by data, like reviewing financials. What can you afford? What's the key role? Let's look at your org chart. Let's look at your business model and what you actually do, how you transact. Well, clearly your things are inefficient. Your people are in the wrong seats on the bus. Let's tweak that, improve that, stop doing that because it's a waste of time just because you've always done it, and then come back to basics. Business fundamentals is what makes business successful, and it's teaching more business owners. I know you and I are both passionate about that. We're small business advocates or small business owner advocates, is to teach business owners the fundamentals. It's not about fancy, you've got to get AI in your business and all this rubbish because suddenly it's going to make you successful. No, it's not. Either's the latest Facebook marketing campaign, right? None of that stuff is actually of any substance. It's doing the same business fundamental basics in a 90-day cycle over and over again until it just becomes the DNA of your business. And it's not complicated. Business is not complicated. People complicate business.
So what is one thing about leadership that you wish you learned earlier on in your business and entrepreneurial journey?
To be honest, don't be a prick. Right? Because at times I was so stressed that element would come out. I would be a bit,
Bit of a dick. Prick.
Or a prick, or whatever you want to call it. But I was carrying so much stress and I didn't know how to lead. I was managing, That's all I was doing, just, or barely, hanging on the ledge of the cliff, by my fingernails. So I didn't actually know how to lead. And what it was is, it's because, again, going back to the things that we talk about often, is I didn't trust my team enough. I also didn't know how to hire the right team. So I didn't have the right team. So therefore, I was shooting myself in the foot by not learning how to hire a good team, not learning how to actually lead team, and then trusting those to actually take on and take some of the load and the weight off me. And also, it wasn't always about, being a prick or whatever. It was also about me going, well, I felt guilty if I gave one of my things that I was responsible for to one of my team. Even though I was paying them, it sounds silly, but I know there's a lot of business owners that feel that. It's like, oh, who am I to give all my stuff away and get time back? Is that me being a prick? It's like,
is that me taking advantage of people?
That's exactly right. And that's what I felt. But I had realized that that's why we're hiring people, is so that they can take on higher level responsibilities, become more valuable to the business, potentially then earn more income for their families and things too. And it's like, well, if I create the business to be more successful, they become more successful by default as an extension of that. And so I had to shift that mindset and go, well, I'm holding on to too many things. I need to let go. I need to let go of the perfectionistic, controlling tendencies, which are stressing me out, and therefore I'm getting stressed and like this sort of stuff, not being able to handle it. And as soon as I started to give that away, that stress and that pressure went down, and I started to show up as a stronger version of myself, and that meant that I attracted and retained better people. That meant that they felt more inspired, and they lifted, and my business started to perform better, or businesses started to perform at a much, much higher level. And I was the handbrake, but I realized I was also the accelerator. I just had to learn how to put the handbrake down so the accelerator actually worked. The business has needs. They're not your needs. What does the business need? The business is a separate living, breathing organism once you start to build a team around it and things like that. It's got its own culture. It's got its own, tonality. And that's affected by how you show up as a leader or manager or both. It's affected by how your team is showing. It's affected by things like values and cultural alignment and misalignment. And it comes down to, I feel it comes down to you actually stepping out of the business, looking at it, saying, what does the business need? Taking me out of it, taking my own selfish needs or preferences out of it. What does the business need to be successful? Because if it's successful, then me as the business owner, I'm now successful by default because I've created something that runs without me, that doesn't require me there all 100 hours a week or even 50, 60 hours a week. It doesn't require me there all the time, and it's giving me the income that I want personally to be able to go do other things in my life. So remove the attachment to it being about you. It's not. What does the business need? Because it's going to have different needs than what you do. People talk about the fear of failure, right? But then when we look at someone's business and say, hey, Eric, let's look at your business, and this is an example, right? Let's pretend you've got this business, and it's like, so how many hours you work in the business? 60 to 70 a week. Okay, great. And what are you drawing from the business? Like 80 grand. Okay, cool. And how long have you been in the business? 12 years. Okay, so 12 years, you're on 80 grand. How much would you earn if you went and got a job? Probably 200 grand. Okay, so, it's like, but you've got this fear of failure. It's like, then I would change the talk track and go, so how would you describe success? A success is that I want to work less than 2 days a week in the business. I want to be drawing $400,000 profit out of the business. Cool. So you're failing right now then, yeah? And usually people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you're failing right now. You are failing. So your fear is failure. You're telling me your fear is failure. You are already failing because you're not living that success that you just described. So if this is as bad as it can get, is it actually that bad? Most people are scared of success and what that means because maybe their parents didn't have any money. So they've got this underlying belief system that I can't out-earn my parents because that's not fair. They struggled all their lives. Why should I have it easy when they don't? This subconscious, belief systems and stuff, or stigma or dogma, or maybe it's cultural or social, or their friends network, and people are like bag out business owners, or they bag out people with money, or someone with a flash car. They call them a moron, or a rich prick, or whatever it is. And so they don't want to become successful because then they'll be ostracized by the herd, their friends and their family and stuff. So that's definitely a big part of that too.
So I know after the last couple of years, a lot of small business owners are struggling. And if there's a business owner out there that feels a level of resentment, either towards their business or maybe towards their team because their team have it easier or whatever it might be, what's the one thing that you think they need to hear right now?
Well, there's 2 words. It's stop it, right? It's that simple. They've got to stop resenting the business because it's a reflection of whatever's going on inside. And I've felt that in the past in businesses where I started to resent the business or the team or the pressure. But the thing is, it was a prison of my own making. And so by externalizing it and making it about somebody else is the easy path. It's like, oh, I'm going to resent that, or I'm going to be upset with this, or pissed off at that, or whatever it is. That's the easy path, to not take responsibility, right? The simple thing is the business owners need to take full ownership and full responsibility. Jocko Willink and Leif Babin wrote Extreme Ownership, right? Talks about that. You need to take full ownership of what's happening. And as the business owner, the goods, the bads, and the in-betweens, they're all your fault and your responsibility. So we've literally got to step up. Stop crying in the corner. I'll say it really bluntly. Stop sitting there crying in the corner, about that, and go, you know what? I can either sit here and do nothing, or I can stand up and do something. Because both are a choice. Doing nothing is still a choice. It's still a choice to do nothing. And I'm sick to death of people saying, I chose to, and there's like, I'm going to do nothing. I don't know how to choose, so I'm just going to stay where I am. It's like, well, no, but you're choosing to stay where you are. You can't not choose that.
No, but you don't understand, Sean. Like, I'm just going to try and get through the next 6 months, and then maybe da-da-da-da.
Then maybe get some support or whatever it is. It's like, okay, cool. Then at the end of that 6 months, do you think you're going to be in a different position? Because you've got the same belief systems, the same skill set, the same habits, and the same patterns that are playing out. So in 6 months, you'll be in the same position, probably just more pissed off and resentful to your business, to your team, whatever.
Except you've got 6 months less life to live.
And 6 months less time to change something. And it's that thing of full 100% ownership and going, I can either choose to resent, because resenting it is still a choice. I can keep choosing that, or I can choose to change that, and it changes in here. We have to change ourselves.
So if someone's out there and their husband or wife is actually in business and they feel resentful because they feel like their husband or wife is actually married to the business more than they are to them, what would you say to that person?
This is so common. This is such a common thing, because getting into business, and especially if you start a business or buy one with very little experience, is it will become all consuming very, very quickly, and it will draw you away from your primary relationship from kids, family, friend, hobbies, everything. And it's been plenty of times where you and I have both had the partner of someone who owns a business come to us and say they need help, they need support, they're so busy, and that's because it's coming from a place of love and care, not from selfishness, like, oh, I want them back, because yes, they want more of their time, of course, but it's like they can see that this business is breaking them. It's breaking this person they love and care about deeply. And it's pointing them in the direction of some support, because if they cannot do it themselves, they're clearly going to keep not doing it themselves until something changes. And that change is usually about getting some sort of guidance, support, structure, community, business group, or whatever it is around them to help them to actually learn the business basics, the business fundamentals, and apply them in their business, and literally change. It will change their life if they, and I use the expression, people in business owners, it's like they're cutting trees down with a butter knife. It's tiring, you get blisters, they bend very easily. It's like, come and learn the business fundamentals, right? The business fundamentals are like a chainsaw. You pick it up, it'll cut the tree down. When you get really good at it, you then pick up the keys and go and learn how to drive the bulldozer, which knocks 5 or 10 trees down at once, right? That is the concept of learning the business basics and applying them into your business. It is not hard. You just need to learn, one, to shift your own belief system and mindset that you're worthy of creating the success that you want, that you don't need to know how, because somebody else knows how. Because if you look in your industry, is somebody else bigger than you? There'll be hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses around the world that are bigger than you. So someone's already solved all the problems you've got, right? So it's not like you need to come up with these miracle solutions. The solutions are already there. So the how is never the problem. It's your own belief system. It's your own desire. And do you have a big enough why that's pulling you towards actually making this change, committing, and being humble enough to actually put your hand up and ask for support, and having that support of a supportive partner when you're in business. What we've seen, in a circle group
means
is
everything.
They accelerate dramatically, a lot faster than if there's resistance or conflict going on in the background. It's like, because if you're in a really good partnership, with a husband and wife or other partner, you're having that support is like fuel. It adds extra battery power to you. You're inspired more because you go to work as the provider, and you're building this legacy now for your family to give you more time to create a freedom business where you do have more time and money to do those things, to be able to take your kids or your partner or whatever it is on holidays, or have experiences, or move to that dream location you wanted to move to, whatever it is that floats your boat, so to speak. And that's so important, is to make sure that in the business that you're a team and not adversaries. And remember, the business owner's not doing it on purpose. They're not trying to screw up their business. They're not trying to have to work 80 or 100 hours a week. They don't know how to do it differently. And that's simple. That's a simple solution, is get people around you that can quickly identify the constraints, the key constraints that are going to have the biggest impact in freeing up time, generating additional profit, and starting to create that freedom business.